Hello everyone, and in today's video we will see how I eliminated my debt, and also I will provide you a couple of strategies that you can employ immediately to eliminate all your debts. This plan involves four main steps. The first one is to have a buffer, the second is to choose your strategy, the second is to stick to it, and fourth is avoid new debt. What I mean with have a buffer. So the first key ingredient to pay down debt is to have the material, the energy, the financial power to pay down your debt. And you can do that with a buffer. The buffer is also called excess savings, and it's that amount of money that remains in your bank account at the end of the month. So it's income minus expenses. And here we have multiple strategies to push up our income and push down our expenses. We have dedicated already a couple of videos on these topics, but to increase your income, of course, is either through your work, your independent contracts, or your company as an entrepreneur. In terms of expenses, you can reduce your non-discretionary, your discretionary, and your unexpected expenses by protecting from them. So you really need to do everything in your power to build up this exact saving, because it's your firepower that will bring you to your financial freedom. Let's see now how we can use these excess savings to pay down your debt. So we need to choose a strategy, and we will see just that in the second step. Choose your strategy. So some of the strategies that are available to pay down your debt are the Avalanche Method and the Snowball Method. There are also other more advanced strategies, which are, for example, debt consolidation, or to recurring to some professional debt planners that can take your debt and give you more easy terms to get paid, but usually it involves a quite high fee. So I will just go through these three strategies. If you want to know more, we can have a video that discusses all the available strategies to pay down the debt with more detail, but just as of now, I will focus on these three ones. Let's do an example to see how the three are different. The Avalanche Method, they focus on the highest interest debt first. Snowball Method, they focus on the smallest amount first. With debt consolidation is basically simplification. Okay, so let's go through it, and I will show you how the different strategies behave in the same situation. So let's assume the same set of debt outstanding. So we have, for example, credit card. We have, for example, family debt. Here is when someone lend you some money in your family. Then we have car loan, for example. Then we have consumer debt, another consumer debt, let's say. Let's put it here, debt type. Here we will put interest. So once we have defined a debt type, we define also the interest that this debt are gonna pay. So the credit card debt is gonna cost 10%, family debt 0% because they love you, car loan 5%, consumer debt 8%. Okay? Then we need to have the amount, so we know how much debt is outstanding. So amount, and this is gonna give us the interest expense in this last line. So let's say credit card, we have 1,000, family debt, we have 2,000, credit card loan, we have 10,000, consumer debt, we have 400. Okay, so, and we see also how much it costs by interest expense. So we have 100 euro here, we have 0, we have 500 euro here, and we have 32 here. So if we follow the Avalanche method, we need to pay back first the loan that has the highest interest rate, because it's going to be the one that is the most costly for us to keep month over month. Okay, so we will tackle first this credit card. So if, for example, we have 1,000 euro in buffer or $1,000 in buffer, with that we will need to pay first all the expenses of the period, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. So we will need to put 100 here, 0, 500, 32. And so with all this, we will remain with 368 that we can use to pay down the debt. So this amount will be used to tackle the first amount, because it's the one that has the highest interest. So in that case, we're gonna add to this payment 368. So this amount is gonna go to 632. And if we repeat this exercise the next month, This is gonna be only 63.2, 532. Then the monthly payment is no longer 632, but it's gonna be 595.2. Then 1000 minus 595.2, which is 404.8. And this amount we'll use it as before to pay down the debt. So we bring this fella here, which will reduce this amount. It's gonna be 227.2. And here is really where the magic starts to happen. So you will have here 22.7 as the payment, 532, which on total does 554.7, which gives an available amount to pay the capital for 445.3. We will use it to pay down this debt. So we have a remaining amount of 227. So we add plus 227.2, okay? And we reduce it from this amount. It was the available amount following the payment of these interests. And from this now we have an available 218.10 that we can use to pay some other amount. The next one then is gonna be consumer debt, because it's the next with the highest interest rate. So we will use the other plus 218.10 to pay down this amount. So it is gonna be 181.90 the next period. If we continue, we can see that now the first loan is completely paid off. So the interest this period is going to be 0. 0 also for the second, because there is no interest rate being paid. It's starting to become a big mess, but I hope you guys are following. Here we have 500 from this one. The amount to be paid with the loan, the consumer loan, is 14.552, which is like 514 basically, under 14.56, which give us, if we detract it from the 1000 that is available every month, 5.44 that is available to pay down the debt. So here we have 181 that we can use to pay down this debt, and then 303.54. So you see the trend. I will pay each of the debt in this fashion. We see that every iteration, also our available amount increases because we pay down all the other debt and increase at a very fast rate. Here, for example, it will be completely paid off the first loan, the second loan, and the third loan. So almost the entire amount will be used to cover this debt, because now it's 480 of interest, but then all the remaining part is used to pay down this debt, right? And you can see that it's really increasing the amount of available capital that we have. If you follow instead the Snowball method, just do a similar situation, but the first debt to be paid is not this credit card here, but it's gonna be the smallest debt. It's gonna be the 400, okay? So it's gonna be the first interest payment the same as before. So it's gonna be total payment 632 of only interest. And then we have a 362 available to pay back the debt, and we'll use it to strike down the consumer debt. So the amount of the consumer debt is gonna be 400 minus 368. Okay, so 32. And here the difference is that in the next period, the interest here is gonna be 2.56. And then here is still gonna be 100, 0, 500. And you can see that the overall payment of interest this month is higher following the Snowball method than the Avalanche method. This is because we chose purposefully not to pay down the debt with the highest interest rate, but to pay down the one with the slowest amount. So why we should do that? Because people feel to have a momentum, a gaining streak when they see one line of debt that is cancelled, which will be already the case in month number 3, because now we will use the remaining amount, which is 397, to pay down this debt here, you know. So we pay down 256. All the remaining we will focus on the credit card, because it's the other one with the amount that is lowest. So it's gonna be used here, 397. So you can see that if you prefer an approach that is more psychologically appealing, but less rational. You're gonna end up paying more interest rates, but you might be able to stick to the plan much easier. So let's go now to debt consolidation, which is a little bit different. I put it on the side here because I think it's much easier to understand what's happening there. So debt consolidation. So under this approach, what we will do is simply to negotiate only one debt. So we can go to a counterparty, a bank, and we can raise this 13,400 completely from one bank. And we can pay down all the debt in one shot. So let's say that we can negotiate this debt from a bank that tell us, okay, you can borrow that amount at 5%. You say, perfect, okay, I take this loan. And then with this loan, with this amount, you just decide to pay down all the existing debt. So at the end, you will have zero on all the initial debt that are to pay to all the counterparties, so it might be complicated also for you to follow the status of all the debt. And you will have just a new line that is the new debt, which we call it bank debt for 13,400 with 5%. So every month you will concentrate only on pay down this debt, and that's it. So you know what is your objective, you know how much you will pay every month, and you know the counterparty that you need to pay your debt to. So it's a strategy to simplify the current situation. It's very, very good, especially if you can have an interest rate that is very advantageous, and it help you pay down, other debt like the credit card debt or other debt that have very high interest rate costs. So now that we saw some of the main strategies to pay down your debt and the impact that they have on overall cost, what you need to do is stick to your strategy. What I found is that in order to really stick to your strategy, you really need to have mainly two things. One, you need a plan that shows you the various steps that you need to take and the final results that you can achieve if you follow your plan. And second, you need an accountability partner or an accountability group, or you can be your wife, your friend, a partner, or be part of a community where monthly you share your misses, your targets, your successes, and any problems you might have had. Another interesting point on sticking to it is really to have a strategy that is sustainable for you. So a usual split that is done is like 50% to be paid for your expenses, so 50% of your income, then 30% to pay down your debt, another 20% as savings. For me, it's much better to kill the debt immediately, keep just a little bit of your cash aside for your emergency fund, but apart from that, destroy the debt immediately because these are the breaks that are going to stop your speed towards your financial freedom. And final step number 4 is avoid new debt, because of course, if you are trying to pay down the debt that you already have, we should not incur in new debt. So use your savings if you need to consume something, if you need to buy something. Do not buy on debt, especially when we need to try to beat this monster that is destroying your financial success. The only way where you can use debt maybe in a productive way is really to use it when the interest rate is very low and you use it to pay your existing debt at a high interest rate. Or if you have a mortgage at a very high interest rate, to refinance it with a mortgage at a lower interest rate. But these are the only ways that I would say you should employ your debt in this stage. We can use that to enhance your returns when you know what you're doing. But as of now, you need to focus really not to increase your indebtedness, because we need to stop this force that is dragging you back. Okay? So to recap, how I eliminated my debt. So first of all, I had a buffer by having excess savings done by increasing my income and reducing my expenses. I chose a strategy. My choice was the Avalanche Method, which is paying the highest interest first, then stick to it. So I stayed on course until I paid down all my debts. And then I avoided taking any new debt that was not helping me to reduce my interest expense every month. And with that, if you want to learn more, there is a link in the description to my free community where we discuss all about finance. But for all the others, I wish you a great day and we see you soon. Cheers.